Hey, welcome to Trill Truth Network. Tonight we're gonna go ahead and address the topic, the big debate that's going on. So this is the Trill Truth coming from Trill Truth here. We're gonna address the big debate after the last dance. Everybody's been really excited about the series, me being a big time basketball guy. I was very excited. No live sports recently, so here in the quarantine, it's sort of like a nostalgic look in the past, or one could say. It was a great thing to kind of have, sort of like something to look forward to, especially with the legendary figure, the legendary team that I grew up watching, grew up in my generation. So we're gonna touch on a lot of different things on this particular video. One, the debate is, for whatever reason, LeBron versus Jordan, but we're gonna talk about. Shout out to the baby. He dropped a new album. One of the things he has on his production, I find him very entertaining individual, the baby. But they got, I think they call themselves the real GOATs. But today we're gonna talk about the real GOAT. So the title of this video is "Who's the Real GOAT in Basketball History?" And we're gonna kind of break it down. From my opinion, you can get the trill truth from me. And what I would say, in my opinion, is that one is, what are you looking for? If you want to define greatness as who accomplished the most throughout their entire basketball career, weigh that on top of, because I'm gonna give you my criteria before I do my breakdown here. Who accomplished the most throughout their basketball career? So accomplishments is one thing, one criteria. Then we're gonna look at what was your impact on the game. How did you influence the game? And in what ways did you affect the game? Okay. Then we're going to look at the totality of what you mean to the game. Because if you're the real greatest of all time, if you're the real GOAT, then you should be able to check all three of these boxes. And 3 is a really powerful number, so we're going to keep it at 3. Okay? And then I'm going to give my opinion on who fits these top 3. Okay? Now, one individual that stands out is Michael Jordan, of course. Given that we have the last dance fresh in everybody's mind, fresh in everybody's debate. Number 2, I'm going to say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor. I have him in the conversation in the top 3 greatest of all time. Then number 3, you could fit guys like, that's sort of like a flex position, because you do have LeBron James. I put him in the conversation. You put Magic Johnson in the conversation. You put Kobe Bryant. You put Wilt Chamberlain. You put Bill Russell. all these guys, I would say, have to fit. Now, historically, there's going to be a lot of people who debate different things on different ways, but here's what I would say. If it comes down to straight basketball accomplishments, nobody in the history of basketball was ever as accomplished as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or formerly known as Lou Alcindor. When this man played 20 years in the NBA, so longevity, you can check longevity in that box. When you say the man was unstoppable on the offensive end, he has the most unstoppable move of all time, the sky hook. And he's still to this day leading scorer all time, number one on the all-time scoring list. Then we talk about defense. Well, the man made 11 all-defensive teams. 11. When we talk about rebounding, this man was regularly at the top of the league in rebound. He's on the all-time list in rebounds. Matter of fact, we can look all of this information live. Okay, when we break down Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, what people need to understand about him, and we got LeBron James in this conversation. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor in high school, Paul Memorial in high school, he was LeBron before LeBron. Everybody saw him coming. He scored the most points in high school history in the Mecca of basketball in New York. So when you're talking about somebody who throughout their career did anywhere near close to what this man doing. When we talk about Will Chamberlain and his scoring exploits and what he did, let's look and consider who he was playing against, man. Will Chamberlain was dominating. I mean, Will Chamberlain can play to this day. I think Will Chamberlain would be a great player even in the NBA now. If you put him in this generation. Will Chamberlain was a freak athlete. But Will Chamberlain, 7'1" freak athlete against guys. Bill Russell was 6'8", 6'9", and wasn't the athlete that Will Chamberlain was. That's why Will Chamberlain was giving him all kinds of crazy numbers. Like, I'm one of these people. Look, man, I'm 5'9", and I consider myself a solid to good, possibly great defender in my prime of my younger days. When I was in my shape and on my game, I could play against anybody, with anybody, in my opinion. And I'm talking about the high school me, or a 19, 20-year-old me against you could put me in high school. Let's say high school. And if you put me on the court against Allen Iverson in his prime, there's no way Allen Iverson is going to drop 60 on me. And it's not happening. 30, more than likely. But, that's his average. I could get him to his average, or keep him at or below his average. 30. 25. But imagine 60, 65 points, 10, 15 assists, and 5 steals and 8 rebounds, or like a triple double, like what Russell Westbrook was do, like a 50-point triple double. Those were the type of crazy numbers Will Chamberlain was getting on Bill Russell, man. We talking about 50, 60 points, 30 rebounds, 5 block, 10 block, crazy, just cartoon video game numbers against Bill Russell. And Bill Russell in the interview would say, I would just let him get, I want him to get going. I would let him get going, because then I would know that their whole team would be focused on going through him, and we would win the game. So Bill Russell was focused on winning the game, so he almost would help and assist or allow Wilt Chamberlain to get into his rhythm and get going, so that the 76ers at the time would then focus on Wilt and lose track of the fact that the Celtics was just a better team and had a better team structure and a better organized way about doing things. But one thing that takes away from Bill Russell, in my opinion, and I respect him, he's an all-time great, defensively, leadership, everything, transcendent athlete. He was a part of the civil rights movement. So this is without any disrespect. But he was not a very highly skilled offensive player, wasn't known for his offense, and he was surrounded by Hall of Famers. He had a Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest of all time, Red Auerbach. Then he had, the list goes on and on. Havlicek, Jones, Cousy. Come on, man. Dang, that his whole team, for most of all of his career, were like all-star Hall of Famers. So, to compare him playing with a team, or we're not even talking about the like, people were up in arms about LeBron playing with D Wade and Chris Bosh. Man, look, Bill Russell was playing with a team that basically had 5 or 6 of the top 15 players in the whole NBA, all on the same team at that particular time. Like, if you were to have like a dream team of the 60s, and you can go back, these are all facts. If you were to go back and you have the dream team of the period of the time where Bill Russell dominated, where he had his 11 to 13, just a dream team of the best player of the all-decade team of the 60s and 50s back then, you look at that, a lot of those guys were Celtics. So he was an outstanding superstar who played within a team, knew how to win, and was all about winning. However, in my opinion, if you want to look at the list of these all-time greats, I never consider Bill Russell, because I'm in Houston, Texas, the home of the dream. So, to me, if you're going to put anybody over the dream, you got to look at somebody that's got some game on the offensive end. Because in my opinion, the dream always gets slept on. I just feel like he always gets sleep. People sleep on him. He gave Shaq the business. Swept Shaq, young Shaq. Swept him. And I was there. I was a kid. I prayed before every single game because I thought that Orlando was better just because of the hype. I was a kid. So I was like, oh man, Shaq's going to be dunking on Dream. Oh my gosh. How's he going to guard him? He's too big, too strong. He's going to be dunking all over Dream. Then I was like, oh, Penny going to be crossing over. Man, Kenny Smith and Sam, because they ain't going to be the whole Penny. Penny going to be averaging 35. 10 assists. Penny going to kill us. Then I'm like, oh, they got Dennis Scott, Nick Anderson. They going to be hitting all these threes, man. Man, they beat Jordan. They beat the Bulls. Jordan came back. So I was like, man, dang. We about to lose. So I literally prayed before every single game to God for us to win, and we won every game. So imagine me game 1 as a little kid. I had prayed before the game for us to win, because I thought Orlando was going to beat us. And then Nick Anderson get on the free throw line when they got the game pretty much locked. He literally only had to hit like maybe 1 or 2 free throws, and he missed them all. I was like, oh, praise God. I thought it came from heaven on a book from above, man. So, uh, me personally, I rank the Dream over Bill Russell. Hey, call me biased all you want, but just look at the tape. Look at the tape. You ain't never seen Bill Russell do anything close to a move like what Dream did on David Robinson when David Robinson was the MVP. Never. He wasn't even thinking of nothing like that. He probably couldn't even dream of nothing like that. Literally, dream of a move of doing something like the Dream. And Dream was blocking shots. Dream rebounded. Dream got assists. We ran our offense through him, inside and out. Dream got steals. Dream was agile. Dream could run. Dream had the Dream shape. About the closest thing to the sky hook that they can get. Heck, if you want to really look at it, a young Dream played with Ralph Sampson, swept the Lakers and Kareem and Magic. Now we talking about an older Kareem, fair. Kareem was not in his prime at all. He was old. But the facts are the facts, man. The Rockets swept in 1986. That same team Michael Jordan dropped 63 on. That year, the Lakers got swept by the Rockets. Look it up. These are all facts. So, you know, if you look at the totality, yes, Bill Russell is a great legend. But, I mean, come on, man. He was not the one guy on a team like the Dream, where we had one superstar until we got Clyde Drexler. But that first year, after the Ralph Sampson thing fell off, there was one Dream. We ran our team through him. Everything was through him, offensively and defensively. And we used to give the Bulls that work. And I still say to this day, the Rockets of that period, with all of the team intact, would have beaten the Bulls 95 with Drexler. 94 would have been games. It would have been a hell of a series, but because it was a hell of a series against the dang Knicks, man, we went 7 games, and really, to be honest, we could have lost that series in a lot of ways. You know, the Knicks kind of gave it to us in some ways. It was just a really, very, very highly competitive series. I remember watching that as a kid and thinking, wow, man, Rockets, man, we in the finals. Wow. Like, you know, there was no Houston teams really doing anything back then, like on that type of level. The Oilers were really good, but they weren't on that level like that. So to see a Houston team in the finals going toe-to-toe with a team from New York at that time is like, as we was kids, we thought New York was the best at everything for whatever the hype was, and music, movies, everything. It's just what it was, man. I had family out there. It's damn near, I damn near sound like I'm from New York, because I went up there and everybody thought I was country talking about me. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, bottom line is this. The Dream, to me, I put him over Bill Russell. I put Kareem. I put Jordan. And here's the reason why I say back to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And here's the reason why I put him over guys like Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was great. Okay? Wilt Chamberlain had cartoon numbers. Wilt Chamberlain was such an all-time great athlete. Like I said, I believe he could play to this day. I also believe Kareem could play. There's nobody could ever stop the damn sky hook. I don't care who you are, what you are, how athletic you think you are. The man played 20 years. The man could run. The the man block shots, the man rebound, and nobody could ever stop that shot. I don't care how high you jump, you can't stop the damn skyhook. So Kareem would still give guys that business right now. To this day. So, defensively, was he frail? Yes. Was he skinny? Yes. Was he more finesse? Yes. Could guys bang him, possibly push him out the paint? Yes. But we talking about a guy who, don't you forget, I mean, don't let the smooth look fool you. Don't let that skinny frail frame look weak to you. This man used to practice karate with Bruce Lee. This man worked out with Bruce Lee. This man sparred with Bruce Lee. Ain't nothing soft about Kareem. Go back and look at that fight, them fight tapes of Kareem. Like when he was throwing hands back then. You know, it was a different NBA too. Rules were different. We talk about transcendent. Okay, let's go to that criteria. When Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was dominating college basketball, he dominated so much that they outlawed the dunk. Think about that for a second. And like, man, this dude dunking so much, and let's just ban the dunk. They took the dunk out of basketball because of Lou Alcindor. They changed the game basically against him. The only other person that you can say has experienced something like that was Tiger Woods in golf, where he dominated so much to where they changed the game against him. Other athletes of that magnitude, they basically adjust to change the game around to promote the individual. In Lou Alcindor's case, they did it against him, and he still dominated, won a championship, got the national MVP or Player of the Year. So you talking about somebody who basically went undefeated in high school, won championship all through high school, was LeBron before LeBron, then gets to college, goes to UCLA, the dominant program in the United States of America, as a freshman, was on a freshman team beating the national champions in practice routinely because they couldn't stop him. Then wins 3 straight national championships, 3 straight Players of the Year, gets to the NBA, teams up with Oscar Robertson, wins an NBA championship in Milwaukee. Now, nothing against Milwaukee. They've always had solid throughout my life. I was born in 1982. So, I'm an 80s baby. So, throughout my life, the Milwaukee Bucks always seemed to be relevant. Or they were a team that was seen to be, even if you look back at The Last Dance, when they go back and they show when a young Michael Jordan was proving himself against the Milwaukee Bucks, they were a proven team. They were a playoff team on a regular basis. They were a highly competitive team. They were well respected. They've had some very good players. John Lucas here out of Houston played and shout out to Mr. Lucas. He's like the basketball godfather down here. Much respect to him and his family. Played against his son growing up. Great guy. Much respect to Mr. Lucas and his family. But Mr. Lucas played for the Bucks, as well as the Rockets, of course, with Young Dream. But yes, with Sidney Moncrief, Defensive Player of the Year. And they had good players. Terry Cummings was another guy that played with them. I mean, they had a lot of good players, I believe, coming up. So I used to see the Bucks play the Bulls on WGN when I was a kid. and Jordan used to give him that work. But the Bucks were always competitive coming up. But they wasn't a championship contender. I mean, yeah, they had Oscar Robertson and them back then, but after that, what did they do? You know, they had Ray Allen, and they had the big dog, Sam Cassell, Vin Baker, and those guys. They had a good run. But come on, man, Giannis is bringing them back. But Milwaukee is not a featured franchise in the NBA, and it has never been. He brought a championship there. So, and this is before he ever played with the Lakers. But here's the catch. Yes, he accomplished more in the NBA than Michael Jordan as well. Played longer, scored more, rebounded more, blocked more. You know, if you look at the stats and accomplishments, more All-Star games, more defensive player, defensive, all defensive team. You know, I mean, just down the list. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Nobody's more accomplished in the history of basketball than Kareem. But here's the catch. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar needed others. Follow me here. When I say needed others, he needs, at that position, the center position, you need guards to give you the ball or get you the ball. When he won a championship in Milwaukee, he needed Oscar Robertson. Now, everybody needs somebody if you're going to win championships in the NBA. I mean, you're talking about the best of the best, the creme de la creme. But when I look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, here's the thing. Did he have one thing you can say? And here's the argument for Kareem. Nobody has ever been able to duplicate him. Nobody. The skyhook was unstoppable. Why can't anybody else do it on a consistent basis? Why is it out of the game? We had Yao Ming in H-Town. Why couldn't he learn the skyhook? Why couldn't he dominate at 7'6" with the skyhook? Why couldn't Sean Bradley learn the skyhook? All these big men, Patrick Ewing, Lonzo Mourning, all these guys, why couldn't they learn the skyhook? Anthony Davis, Giannis, all these guys. Nobody does the skyhook. Most unstoppable move in the history of the NBA. Nobody else does it. Who's played like him? Did anybody pattern their game after Kareem? Well, if nobody could pattern their game after him, this man played 20 years in the NBA. Nobody could take that shot that they would see all those years, scoring all those points with. Nobody could take that, put that in their game. Nobody? Okay. So he's the most unique. Not only was he the most accomplished, he's the originator, innovator, and non-duplicator. Ain't nobody like him, man. The one and only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Outside of the game of basketball, he was also a militant individual who was pro-black during the civil rights movement. Stood by Muhammad Ali's side during that time of segregation and things of that nature. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar deserves a lot of respect, and I will always give him a lot of respect. Him and guys like Jim Brown, they paved the way in a lot of ways for the black athlete and the black power movement of the time. Very educated individual. However, nobody really likes him. And why is that? Why do all these guys disrespect Kareem? Like Shaq, like Andrew Bynum. These guys disrespecting and dissing Kareem. Like, I know I'm not the only one that's heard these stories. Kareem tried to reach out to help Shaq. Kareem kind of tried to reach out help Andrew Bynum. These guys don't just like, hey, that ain't my game, you know. They disrespect the dude, like, you know, sort of like, get out of my face, like, okay, all right. But reason being is just that he does not carry the relevancy, or he did not affect the game like a Magic Johnson did, or even like a Larry Bird did. Just think, up until the time that Magic comes around, the NBA Finals, Magic and Larry Bird, the NBA Finals are still on tape delay. So the game in and of itself, even with guys like Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem, you know, dominating, guys like Dr. J, legends of that nature, the game had not transcended and crossed over to the casual fan to get them to the point where the NBA in and of itself as a league and basketball as a game was out there to the point where major networks would pick it up and see it as primetime entertainment. So basketball in the NBA wasn't even considered primetime entertainment, given the fact that you had legends, Hall of Famers, great players of that time who had played the bulk of their career or even had retired or were at the end of their career. Guys like Iceman, George Gervin, you know, guys like the Big O, legends like that, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, all these guys, they were damn near, they were already retired by the time Magic and Bird come around. So when you look at that, I mean, Dr. J was toward the end of his career. So considering that, I'd have to say, when and where did you hear about any product or anything attached to Kareem? And we're not, I mean, okay, sports is entertainment at the end of the day. Yes, it's an athletic endeavor. Yes, it is athletic. Or it's considered a sport or an event. But at the end of the day, sports is entertainment. You pay, or the fan pays a ticket, buys a ticket. You generate revenue. People buy a ticket. The basketball court is a stage. It's no different from a concert. When somebody buys a ticket to a game, they could buy a ticket to go to a concert that night. They could go to a comedy show. They could buy a ticket to a movie. It's a show. That's why the Lakers were the Showtime Lakers when Magic got there. He brought that personality, that pizzazz. He had that it factor. Kareem had the basketball. He was a great basketball player. He was a very intelligent, intellectual individual who stood by his people and was conscious and was a part of the civil rights movement. So you have to respect the man as not only doing for what he believed was right and standing for what he was as a man, but being who he was as an individual. And he is, like I said, very unique. There has never been anybody like him, or even close to similar in his game. Nobody's been able to emulate his game, and nobody's even been able to do his move, which is stupid to me. But That's the truth. Difference between these two guys is Michael Jordan, he never lost in the finals, so he's undefeated. So it's almost like, yes, when guys say, okay, Muhammad Ali was the GOAT or the greatest of all time in boxing, they don't talk, it's not really about just boxing. If you go down the list, if you talk to people and you talk to anybody and they say Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time, okay, now when they say Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time, they're not just talking about just straight the boxing. They talking about Muhammad Ali, who he was, what he represents, what he did, the character he exhibited, what he overcame, what he stood for. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about in the ring, Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. Reason being because you could point out little things like Muhammad Ali, great fighter, never went to the body. How you be like, if we just talking boxing, he never went to the body. If we're going to talk boxing, he was defeated 5 times, possibly 7, if you count 2 of those Ken Norton fights. If we want to talk boxing, he was the greatest of all time, but he lost to a guy with less than 10 fights, Leon Spinks, toward the end of his career. Yeah, he beat him, but man, picture Floyd Mayweather Jr. or Roy Jones Jr. in their prime, on top of the game, losing to a guy who just got at the Olympics. Yeah, that happened. So, no, we're not talking about just the boxing here. Just like we're not talking about just the basketball. If we want to talk about just straight basketball, there's no question Kareem Abdul-Jabbar blows everybody out of the water. Even Wilt. Because Wilt got all these numbers, but Kareem played longer, got more. He beats him in all those categories too. Yeah, he didn't average all those crazy stats in one season, but look who Kareem played against in his career. He played against the best of the best for 20 years, including Wilt. He played against the best of the best, man. Nobody could stop him. He played against everybody. Everybody. All of them. For 20 years. Moses Malone. Shout out to him. The great Moses Malone. The legendary Moses Malone. Right here out of H-Town. That's another one of the godfathers of the game here. Much respect to him. Good man. But, like I said, if we talking about the greatest, okay, did Kareem lose in the finals? Yes. I just told you, Dream and Ralph Sampson and those guys swept the Lakers in the playoffs. Yes. Celtics beat the Lakers with Kareem and Magic. Yes. Michael Jordan never lost in the finals. Never went to a game 7. 6 NBA finals. 6 NBA final MVPs. One at the first off, and this is why you have to. We talk about Kareem being unique and all-time great, but when we talk about high school, and this is where I talk about where MJ gets blown out of the water when we stand him against Kareem. Because Kareem, I think, is like, to me, he's the real number one when it comes to basketball. there's no question in my mind, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar should be considered number one all time. And he'll never get that credit. Nobody will give him that respect because they don't like him. Let's just keep it 100. People don't like him. Where's Kareem now? He's alive, but where is he? Do you see him anywhere? Do you see him prominent at the Lakers games? You see him standing next to LeBron James and Anthony Davis? No. Do you see him on television? Do you see him coaching anybody? He's the greatest player of all time in basketball history. But nobody wants to give him a coaching job. Not even an assistant coaching job, really. People don't even want him around their team, look like. I mean, my gosh. So, obviously, these people don't like him. I'm going to respect him always. Anybody who's a real basketball guy gotta respect that man always. So I'm always going to put respect. I don't even know why people don't like him personally. I've looked at the documentaries of this man. I'm a basketball guy. I study the game. So I know he was a kind of standoffish guy, kind of, didn't want to be bothered with too many people. Kind of stuck to himself, He really wasn't, it took him, he had to kind of magic grew on him. At first he was kind of like, hey, calm down, kid, So, so magic grew on him, but he really wasn't feeling all that energy Magic was bringing in there at first, So when you look at that, we look at the fact that, hell, there was a time when the Lakers had Kareem. You wonder why or how they got Magic Johnson? Think about that. Kareem was on those teams, and on that team that was bad enough to where they picked Magic Johnson that high in the draft. They were able to get Magic Johnson because the Lakers weren't that good with Kareem on the team. Yes, they picked Magic at the top of the draft, come back the next year, and win the NBA championship. Yes. Because Magic was great. All-time great. Still to this day, we got all these guys, big guys, trying to run the point. Close thing is LeBron. Now, there's reasons why I don't put Magic over LeBron, but I haven't gotten to LeBron yet. I'm still on Michael and Kareem right now. I'm all over the place. But everybody knows Michael's pretty much his stats and everything of that nature. It's not really about the stats. It's about what he means to the game, his influence on the game. And when you look at it, Kobe Bryant was drafted to the NBA my freshman year in high school. So when I'm a freshman in high school, I'm looking up at Kobe being 17, 18, going into the NBA, and I'm like, wow, man, I'm loving this dude. Everything about Kobe. Because the Kobe represented sort of like what all us young kids wanted to be, because we all wanted to be like Mike, and he was like Mike, and he had done everything to be like Mike and was good to the level of where he could play against Mike now. So it was like, man, but he had more handles though. He had, like, you could tell he was just kind of like, he just loved the game. He was sort of like his whole energy and passion towards it was sort of like, it was like us as kids, man. That's how we saw him. That's why we fell in love with Kobe. That's why, he meant so much. That's why a lot of us cried when he died, man. Like, we felt attached to Kobe, man. people don't like, unless you like played basketball as a kid growing up. You were '80s baby, like LeBron and these guys. You know, even some of the younger guys in the NBA. That's all they knew was growing up watching Kobe as a kid, because they didn't even see Mike. But Michael Jordan, if there is no Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, in his Hall of Fame speech, said Michael Jordan gave him the vision, and if it was no Michael Jordan, there would never been an Allen Iverson. And he was an icon in the sport. Then you got Kobe, patterned everything to be not just Mike, but Mike and better than Mike, a better version. And then when LeBron comes up, and you all of a sudden you see him in high school, he's rocking number 23. What you think that's for? When we was coming up as kids, man, if you was born in the 80s, everybody knew. When you played on a basketball team, we wanted that number 23. Because that meant we was the best player. We wanted to wear number 23. That's what it meant. Like, you know, if coach gave 23 to somebody, you was like low-key looking like, oh, he think he the best. So let me give it to him in practice. Let me show him what it really is. You know, we all wanted number 20 because of Michael Jordan, man. That's what he meant. That's what he represented. You know, there's a reason why you got kids. When I was coming up, people used to have to watch out. You had kids getting killed over Jordans. Still to this day, it probably happened. I mean, it was real. I personally knew guys who got robbed of their J's at gunpoint. Gunpoint. Yes. You know, out here in Houston, Texas, we had situations where malls and stuff got raided over new J's, man. Riots over new J's. Yes, it's real. I mean, and that's not just here in Houston, it's everywhere, you know, because of what he represents as a status figure, just by wearing his shoes, something attached to him. You know, and this is not just, you know, Michael Jordan is like, he was like Michael Jackson and the Beatles rolled into one on a basketball court on tour. You saw that in the documentary when they go to France. So, I mean, when Kareem was with Magic, when people think Showtime Lakers, they think Magic and Kareem. But when they really think Showtime, they think Magic. They think Magic. Michael Jordan was almost like, I mean, just think about it. When we talk about this last dance, we know how it ends. With the wrist hanging up on him. Walking away. For the championship. Out. Retired. On top of the game. Done. Finito. That's how the story ends. So, I mean, you know, you talk about Washington. The fact is, man was still dropping 40 in his 40s. You talk about when he was with the Wizards. Man had a 50-point game in his 40s. Average 20. You know, but still, nobody had ever three-peated since the Celtics, man. Since the Bill Russell, and I told you about those teams. These Bulls team, this Bull team that you talking about, you had 3 Hall of Famers on those teams, man. I mean, maybe you could put Tony Kukoc in the Hall of Fame if you consider the European stuff, but to me, I mean, yeah, you could put him in there if you throw in the international ball, but at the end of the day, Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, all first ballot Hall of Famers. With Tony Kukoc, that was the core of those 4 guys. 3 main guys that were Hall of Famers. The rest were role players. Solid role players that played their role, that played hard and played their role, fit in the system. The Celtics were damn near like a dream team back then, man. We talking about 5, 6, 7 Hall of Famers on one team. 12-man team, and 7 of them make the Hall of Fame. Come on, man. And y'all keep them together for over a decade, 10, 15 years. I mean, come on, man. It wasn't even that many teams back then. And then you had the ABA. So all the best players weren't even in the NBA. So it was nowhere near the same. By the time Michael Jordan is playing, you got all the best players in the world, all over the world, playing in the NBA. Or trying to get to the NBA. Or want to be in the NBA. That's how it was. And they all had one guy that they was targeting, and that was MJ. And then everywhere he went, he was that man. And every team that played against him, that's who they was game planning for. And he was still dropping 30. And they still couldn't stop him. And everybody knew that Dennis Rodman would party all night. But yet, he would go out, party all night, get high, get drunk, bang 2, 3 girls at the same time, come home. Probably don't even sleep but maybe 2, 3 hours. And then get 15 boards a game. And he was consistently giving people that nasty work every night. Defensively, getting in their head and getting boards. And Pippen was always consistently Pippen. Even though he was getting brutally raped. My gosh. Man. I mean, I can't call a millionaire a slave, but my gosh, homie. 2.8 million, you the 6th highest paid on your team. 122nd in the whole NBA. My goodness. That was just flat out criminal, man. Them dudes need to do some time or pay a fine for that. My gosh. They need to get Jerry Krause like back child support on that. My goodness, man. Straight rape on that boy, man. My goodness. But anyways, I understand what Michael Jordan was saying about the selfishness, but my gosh, man. If Scottie Pippen, if Pip didn't say nothing, I mean, oh my goodness, man. At the end of the day, you a man at the end of the day, man. It get disrespectful. I mean, y'all can't try to renegotiate nothing. Y'all not even gonna flex on nothing. I mean, if anything, he an exception. But my MJ looking at it like, damn, hell, they wasn't paying me. They was doing it to me, so shoot. MJ was getting done the same way. He just had the J's that was selling off the right. He just had the Jordan with the Nike deal. And even the Nike deal that he had wasn't what LeBron got. So now we going to get into LeBron. No. If we're going to say all around basketball player, what they do and what they bring to the table, I personally believe that a prime LeBron James is a better all-around player than Michael Jordan was. Yes, I think that LeBron James, physically, athletically, as far as at his size, he could guard, during his era, 4 to 5 positions. And the reason why I say 5 It's because depending on the style of the time, he can guard a Draymond Green, goddammit. He can shut down and lock down the Draymond Green, the prime LeBron James. And Draymond Green was pretty much the center for the Golden State Warriors dynasty. So, outside of Jordan's Bulls, the next dynasty outside of the Spurs and the Lakers, but the most recent dynasty was Golden State. During LeBron's time, he can guard Draymond Green. So yeah, we talking about 4 to 5 positions during his era. Jordan can't say that. Jordan could guard 1 through 3 and shut down any of them, lock them up. However, LeBron's a better, well, can we say a better rebounder? He's at bigger size, at that size, yeah, he could rebound. But LeBron physically can play 4 positions. He could play 1 through 4. So he's more versatile. But here's the catch. Michael Jordan was a career 85 plus free throw shooter. LeBron's shooting 69% from the free throw line now. LeBron takes more threes, makes more threes, but Jordan was at a different era. He mastered the mid-range game because that's what it was back then. He was an okay three-point shooter, but I'm pretty sure if he was around this time, he would work on and focus on his three-point game. He was a diligent worker on his game, highly dedicated to the game. So if that was necessary, he would do what he had to do. Now, intangibles. The only reason why I'm taking Kareem out of this is because we've already set in stone throughout the first damn near 30-40 minutes of this video that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if we talking about straight basketball, he's that guy. He's the GOAT. Straight basketball. But when we're talking about the greatest of all time here, we're talking about the 3 criteria that I started at the beginning of this video. I said basketball accomplishments, which you say Kareem wins, blows everybody out. We said impact on the game. We brought up the fact that they basically banned the dunk in college basketball when Kareem was there. We also talked about how he had a finesse game, but the reason why we took out his impact, he doesn't necessarily impact the game, is because the NBA sort of went from his style into a power game. You know, more power. Guys didn't even really necessarily take his style and incorporate it in. There wasn't kids working on a sky hook out here. So he didn't have the same impact as a Michael Jordan. Jordan impacted Kobe, Iverson, LeBron. You got guys like D. Wade on the video. You got guys like, come on, man. There is no Kobe. There is no Allen Iverson without Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson was great. People compare LeBron to Magic. Yes. LeBron looked up to Mike and Kobe. But there's no Kobe without Mike. So you're talking about a whole generation, maybe, and even now, to this day, his shoes are the highest selling shoe. Right now, during the quarantine, Kobe Bryant, rest his soul, just passed this year. The Last Dance is the highest selling documentary ever. Or highest, had the most watches. I think it was 6 million people watched last night for the Last Dance episode. So, that right there was like the Super Bowl right now, because we have no other sports going right now. But it's a 10-part series, and literally we are waiting for looking forward to next week like it's game 2 of the NBA Finals or something. This stuff happened over 20 years ago, man. I lived through this stuff. I already know how the story ends. It's just you want to see the details of it because you're watching greatness. Everything about that team, everything, all that is what Jordan, basically brought to the table, man. So, in my opinion, taking everything into account, what he meant to the game, even looking at LeBron, and I respect LeBron. I know a lot of people say a lot of great things about LeBron, and some people, he has his haters. I look at it like this. LeBron James came from a single mother. Never knew his father. Michael Jordan grew up with both his parents in a household of 5 brothers. 5 siblings. 4 siblings. They had 5 kids there. LeBron was an only child. When are we going to take into account the background of these individuals? We're going to take that into account, that maybe his upbringing has some kind of effect on who he became as an individual. Has anybody looked into the fact that this man was able to become who he is and accomplish all the great things that he accomplished despite the dysfunction at which he was born into? You don't hear LeBron getting all caught up in all this craziness out here in these streets. The man had unprecedented pressure on him from 15, 16 years old. 16, I know. He on cover of Sports Illustrated at 16, 17 years old, man. He's on TV at 16, 17 years old. He's on ESPN, his highlights at 17. With the NBA highlights, they showing his high school game highlights. He was the chosen one. And he lived up and surpassed the hype, man. Michael Jordan had an opportunity to be a freshman at North Carolina and come in under the radar and learn under Dean Smith. Play for 3 years in a great program and win a national championship and hit the big shot in the Final Four for the championship game. He had those experiences to build his confidence, to build who he was, to learn the fundamentals, to learn the structure, to play in the Olympics under Bobby Knight. And I could never play for Bobby Knight. My gosh. So for him to do that after being with Dean Smith, coming from this solid sound foundation, man, and to compare that to LeBron, come on, man, it's not fair. So when people talk about the breakdown that he had in the NBA Finals when he teams up with D-Wade in Dallas, personally, I could identify with LeBron coming from my personal background. So I kind of could see that there's something wasn't right. There's a place that he went in his head or somewhere where it just wasn't right. Or he just wasn't ready. But whatever it was, I've been there. So, given that, man, I think that if we talk about basketball, we talk about accomplishments, LeBron wins the battle when we talk about what they can do on the court, what he is as a basketball player, what I see in his game. Okay? That's where I can say. He worked out with Dream in the post, improved his post play. LeBron James is a physical specimen who could play from the outside to the interior, play and guard 1 through 4. The versatility, the ability to hit the 3, penetrate, hit the big shot, take over games, dominate, triple-double, rebound, block shots off the break. All of those things into play. What I've seen LeBron do, passing the basketball, orchestrating the team, power play, power moves, changing the game financially, taking the NBA to the next level. Where Michael Jordan left off and Kobe brought it, Shaq and them guys got it. Coming back, LeBron elevated and took the game even to a bigger level. That's why the contracts are going up and not down. That's why they're getting the new deals. Because LeBron was the chosen one, but he took the torch and he was able to withhold that thing and stand it and put it on high. So yes, we can say what we want to say, but at the end of the day, sports is entertainment. And at the end of the day, whether you like him or not, LeBron James has been the king of the NBA for quite some time now. And has he reigned in particular by winning every year in championships? No. Michael Jordan didn't win the championship every year until he got towards the end of his career with those three-peats. And here's what makes Michael Jordan the greatest of all time, like Muhammad Ali. Michael Jordan did things that had never been done before. They said nobody could lead the league in scoring and win a championship, and nobody did until he did it. They said the NBA, you had to have a big man, a dominant big man to carry a team to a championship. Or you had to have an elite big man. He did that. He won without elite big men. They said that first they thought you needed to have a big man to carry a team. But Isaiah, to be honest, Isaiah Thomas, shout out to him. Isaiah Thomas proved that you could be a superstar and win the championship, leading a team and be a guard. And be like a small guy, a small guard. He was 6'1" and did it. Shout out to him and the Bad Boys, because they used to give the Bulls and Jordan Hill, which I'm pretty sure you're gonna see as they go further along in the documentary. But bottom line is that Michael Jordan transcended that. He was able to take the game to the next level financially. He brought the league on a different level. He brought the game on a different level. And he impacted the game for generations to come. My son is 4 years old. And my son was rocking Jordans, his first pair of shoes, as a baby. My son got a pair of, you go watch, one of my son's favorite movies is Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales. Miles Morales from Brooklyn, just like Michael Jordan was born there. Guess what he got on his feet? Those Jordans. Some ones. So, LeBron, legend, great player. However, if we're looking at career, it's not going to stand up against Kareem. It's not going to stand up against Jordan. He's not going to win the same amount of rings. He might end up, beating Kareem as far as points and things of that nature. It remains to be seen his transcendence of the generations of players. I think he has had a major effect already on the game as far as the way contracts, player movement, player empowerment, a lot of the great things that he's done off the court as well as on the court. He's changed the game as far as how the league has literally went into more of a open, small game. But then here's the thing: while LeBron's been doing his thing, you've had other guys getting off, like Steph, like KD, like the Warriors. You had a whole dynasty while LeBron was playing. None of that went down when Jordan was playing. Even when the Rockets came and we did our thing here in H-Town, Jordan wasn't there. And Jordan, when he came back, wasn't the same MJ. But once Jordan became Jordan, that was it. Three-peat. Nobody had three-peated since the Celtics, and the man did a three-peat, left the game, came back to the game, and three-peated again. Magic did back-to-back. Him and Kareem did one time back-to-back. Tim Duncan didn't do back-to-back. The next three-peat was Kobe and Shaq. And there's no Kobe if there's no MJ. So, yeah. I like to put Dream in my Mount Rushmore. I like to put Wilt Chamberlain up there. And then I got LeBron, Jordan, and Kareem. My caveat with Kobe is that Kobe has more rings than LeBron. However, 3 of those was with Shaq, who I think is the closest thing to Wilt Chamberlain in live basketball, in recent basketball history. I mean, my gosh. And the only thing that keeps Shaq off the Mount Rushmore is my man Dream out here in H-Town gave him that work and swept him in the finals. So, with that said, man, I'm going to end and conclude this video. It's been fun. Hopefully you guys can like and subscribe to my channel here at Trill Truth. Stay tuned for new content coming out. We always gonna keep it live. We're gonna have a lot of different subject matter here on Trill Truth Network. We talk about it all, man. But at the end of the day, shout out to you. Just like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the notification button. Be on the lookout for new videos coming soon. Y'all have a good one and hang tight.